I got nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am your man in Japan, Jay Contra, and we're here in the living room studio to talk about the things that I picked up this month. And I'll use these as kind of springboards to talk about general trends that are happening in the Japanese game collecting scene. So first off, I guess I'll talk about Biohazard 2 for the Nintendo 64. Now this is very special. One, because I am now one game away from having a complete N64 collection. This is actually, Biohazard 2 has really gone up in price. This used to be like a $50 game in mint condition. This actually was, I think, $45 that I picked it up for. It's kind of hard to tell, but the box isn't really in that great of a shape. It's fine. The thing is that I saw this actually in a mandarake up in Fukuoka, and it was in about a B grade condition. Is going for $90. And the thing about the N64 is that N64 games have not really gone up in price at all. Like pretty much every common and uncommon game has actually pretty much stayed flat. But rare stuff like, for example, Get or Love or Bangayo have gone up a little bit. Get or Love somehow went from a $30 game to a $200 game in the last few years. Biohazard 2 has just kind of been creeping up. It's almost a $100 game, and I think this is actually probably going to rise up in value. But for some reason, the N64 just in general has not seen a price rise. As opposed to, speaking of that generation of system, we'll talk about now the PlayStation, which is really becoming the hotness. The hotness right now in Japanese games is the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom. The Super Famicom prices for consoles and games has increased dramatically over the last 2 to 3 years, especially in the last year or so. But the PlayStation, I think, will become that. It will become the hotness probably by next year. And Carnage Heart is just this, like, mech action game that I found in the junk section for about $1. I thought it'd be fun to pick up. Once again, stuff in the junk section is usually like overstock or stuff that they don't think they can sell, so it's sold as is. Sometimes the stuff doesn't work, but they'll usually let you know. But I'm going to take a gamble, and I bet this one worked. So we'll put that off to the side, and then we'll also talk about the PS1. This is the Slim PlayStation, and I guess hopefully I can open it up and talk about the PlayStation at the same time, because I have had a real hard time finding this. I've been trying to find this in the box recently, but I think because the PlayStation is becoming the next hotness, it's really hard to find stuff that's complete in box, and this is actually in great condition. I love the slim model of the PlayStation. I don't like the original PlayStation model. You actually find a lot of loose systems. I was actually just at a hard-off that I think had like 20 loose systems and everything. But finding this stuff in the box is really hard. I remember probably like 4 years ago going to a hard-off and seeing at least like 10 of these boxes going for about $20 a pop, seriously. Whereas this one cost me, I think, $35. And if I bought this in Tokyo, this is now quickly becoming like an $80 or even $100 system, which is absolutely crazy. So that's what's going on with the PlayStation right now. I also picked up this copy of the original Metal Gear Solid 3. This actually is apparently a little bit harder than what came out in America, and this is actually really cheap. I bought this for $3, although I find this in the junk section for about $1. The condition of this was a little bit better, so I decided to spend the extra $2 for this copy. And actually there's another edition which is like the international version, which incorporates all of the changes they made for the localization and makes the game a little bit easier to play. That goes for about $30, whereas this base version, the original version, which is the one I wanted, is about $1 to $3. PlayStation 2 stuff in general, the rare stuff is becoming more expensive. Like there's a couple of Taito shooters and a couple of really rare Beatmania games that are going to the $200 price level. But in general, because you can find a lot of PS2 games in such secondhand stores like Gayo, the price on this stuff has really kind of stayed down, but it is slowly going up. And I bet it's going to go up in the future. So that's the PlayStation 2. I guess just I bought a Game Boy camera because I'm an insufferable millennial, and I kind of want to see if I can maybe do some cool like art photography projects with this. So I'll put that aside. This was $2 and in the junk section, by the way. I actually haven't tested it out yet, but I'm sure it's fine. I guess we can talk about this real quick. So this is a Hori. This is a arcade stick. Obviously, the stick's a little bit loose. There's a bit of a rust on it. This was, I think, $15. There's a lot of really cool arcade shooters and fighters for the PlayStation that I would like to play using a proper stick. Hori makes really good stuff. I'm sure this is solid. Something that I noticed about PlayStation fight sticks is that the most common seem to be fight sticks for like Tekken branded fight sticks, and for some reason the Tekken fight sticks only have like 4 buttons on them. I don't know why. I guess that might have something to do with Tekken's control scheme. I've not actually played Tekken that much, so I couldn't tell you, but just be aware that if you're looking for fight sticks for the PlayStation, just arcade sticks in general, you'll often find those Tekken sticks which do not have all of the buttons, so just be aware of that. Although fight sticks for the PlayStation are really cheap, so don't worry about overspending on that. And then I will now talk about the last phenomenon that I've noticed in Japanese video games recently, just because I myself have been getting into Gamecube collecting. I wanted a complete Gamecube in the box. Is obviously the beautiful kind of standard purple one. I actually think wasn't purple the only color that first released for the GameCube? Maybe there was a black one when it first came out. The orange one was exclusive to Japan, and that's actually something I want to talk about because this set me back about $30. GameCubes in general aren't going up in price unless we're talking about the special edition GameCubes. In Japan, there were a Tales of Symphonia GameCube. There was a Char Aznable Red GameCube that came out. There was also a SoftBank Hogs GameCube. There was a Metal Gear Solid to celebrate the re-release of Metal Gear Solid. They came out with a Metal Gear Solid colored GameCube. I've never seen that before, but it's super expensive. But these base consoles are only going for about $35 to $45. But they are hard to find, though. You would think that because they were becoming more hard to find, the price would be going up on these. Instead, it's just they're hard to find but still cheap. So I was lucky enough to find this purple one. The console itself is in great condition. Maybe I can pull that out while I yap about it, because for some reason the GameCube just has not really been seen as that collectible. Here's the instruction manual with a bunch of the stuff. It's in real great condition. I love the GameCube. This is I remember getting the GameCube. I had the choice between buying a PlayStation 2, an Xbox, and a GameCube, and it actually smells new. It's got that, I don't know, the GameCube had this weird smell to it. I don't know, it's just taking me back. It's taking me back to middle school. So I don't know what the cause of that is. But the GameCube is a phenomenal system that no one really seems to be collecting in Japan. I mentioned a couple of the games that I picked up before, like Dobutsu Bancho. There's a couple of Harvest Moon games. I think the most expensive game for the GameCube is probably like Kirby's Air Ride. I think they did re-release. They did a port of the original Metal Gear they took it from the MSX and they put one on the GameCube, and that only came out with the Metal Gear Solid GameCube. So I think it goes for like $70. Baten Kaitos 2 is another really expensive GameCube game, and by really expensive I mean it's pushing $70, $80. I also picked up these memory cards. This is the, I think, 256 block memory card. I picked this up for $9. It's 972 yen. These have become slightly more hard to find, and so I don't know exactly what's happening with the GameCube. I don't know if people are starting to look out for it, but things are still relatively cheap. I've actually seen prices on games for the GameCube go down. Star Fox Assault used to be a pretty expensive game. That was about a $60 or $50 game, and now it's like $30 for the GameCube. Something also to note is that because the orange GameCube only ever came out in Japan, it's a sought-after collector's item to people from North America and Europe where it did not release. So finding an orange GameCube in the box is very difficult. And I think one of the reasons for that is because you have a lot of entrepreneurs who will go onto eBay, they will go to Hardoff, pick up all the orange GameCubes they can find. Orange loose GameCubes are uncommon, but stuff in the box, you pick it up for $30, you can easily flip for $75 or $80 on eBay. So that's what to look out for. I don't know the Tokyo prices on this stuff, but even in Tokyo, I don't think the GameCube was really sought after. So I'm just going to end it there. That was my tour of... where did I go? I went kind of throughout Saga, southern Fukuoka Prefecture. I visited like 6 or 7 hard-offs, and I managed to pick up all this stuff for I think my budget. I only wanted to spend $100 on video games, and I've been looking for some consoles in the box to take home next time I go back for Christmas. So that's it. Those are the trends that are happening in about mid-2018. That's it for me. I've been your man in Japan, Jay Contra, saying thanks for watching, see you next time, and mahalo.